Hello, everyone, and welcome to Petite to Queen's Claim Your Career Crown podcast. I'm your host, Lynn, and today I'm joined by our special guest, Schroeder Nordholt. And we are going to be talking about how to wow your clients and 10x your sales with Transcending Voice. I want to tell you a little bit about Schroeder. For 2 decades, he was on the stage, honing his voice every day, and he learned all there is under the sun about vocal techniques, breathing for vocals, and taking dozens of courses in the process. I think I need to take a breath. Schroeder has spoken on dozens of stages. He shared the spotlight with Les Brown and some of the best out there. He has lost his voice and recovered it many times. Schroeder has learned how to master one of our greatest assets, our voice, the hard way after losing it several times. Now, Schroeder has compiled his 20 years of experience in the music industry, countless hours of training, and thousands of dollars spent on mastering his own voice and his students into a proven step-by-step program that 10x's your confidence, charisma, and persuasion, ultimately 10xing your life. Schroeder, this is going to be such an amazing conversation. Welcome to the show.
I'm so honored to be here. Thank you so much, Lynn. What a lovely introduction. Thank you so much.
Well, this is going to be fabulous. And for anyone who's joining us for the very first time, don't miss out on a single episode. And you can do that by subscribing to Claim Your Career Crown wherever you get your podcasts. And while we're on the subject, if you love what we're doing, please give us that 5-star review. We would very much appreciate it. Well, Schroeder, let's just get right into it. And I'd love to hear about what inspired you to get started in this field.
That's just a good question. So, what inspired me was, you touched on how I lost my voice, and it really goes back to that, because at the time, it was a matter of the thing was with me was I wanted to sing, like I just wanted to sing, but I would lose my voice. Like I would lose because I didn't know how. I didn't know the right way to sing. I wasn't trained in singing. I was trained in piano, but that didn't help me out at all with my voice. And so it was a tough thing because I knew I literally could pinpoint. I felt happy when I could sing, and when I couldn't sing and when I ruined my voice, I would literally be depressed. Like it was a mental health issue. It really was, to be totally honest, right? Like to be totally honest, like I had to figure it out. Like it was either that or spiral into depression. Like
Yeah.
yeah. So because at the time it wasn't about singing professionally. Like it was just a happiness thing. I just felt happy, right? Like it was just something inside of me. Like I just had to. Yeah. So I was just hell bent on like figuring it out. I had to save myself. Really, it was a
Yeah.
thing. So then in that journey, then that led to getting on stages and singing and being in piano bar situations and taking requests and the whole thing, the whole piano bar, piano man, you know, thing. Like it just led to that because I figured out how to do it. Like I figured out how to do it, so it just felt it was just the natural next step. It's like, oh wow, and people seem to enjoy that. So you like to give your talent and that stuff. So then throughout I was a teacher, so I just put that together with that. So I just put together my training in the voice with the fact that I knew how to teach. Like, you know what I mean? Like when you're a teacher you can teach anything.
Yeah.
The skill is the teaching. So like if you have another skill, now you can put. So I put that together. It just that makes sense as well. I'm able as a teacher to teach what I learned in a way that makes sense to people and gets it through in a way that is and in my way it's really fun. Like like I'm pretty fun guy, so like people seem to have a lot of fun when they come to me, which is like, yeah, quite a benefit.
Yeah, that sounds
Never.
amazing. And you're right. You were able to take those different skills and that passion and put them together. And I'd love to hear more about that process. especially on how you help people to really tap into that very valuable tool in the sense of their voice.
Sure. Well, it all starts with the breath. I think you alluded to that in the intro. The breath is the fuel. Well, it even starts before that. It starts with your passion. Like what I've figured out. Like I have a saying. It's my own quote. If I can quote myself, if I may be so bold, it is, and it goes. It's like this. It's like it's your passion is the fuel, and your message is, or sorry, your voice is the vehicle. So your passion is the fuel. Your passion is what fuels your mission and your message, and your voice is the vehicle. So it's like basically, are you okay driving around in your Corolla, or would you rather a Porsche? I know I would. You know, So my whole and so yeah. So the whole method starts with the breath. Starts with the breath. The breath is what gives the real fuel. Like it starts to give the it's most people have heard of breath support when it comes to the voice. Breath support. And it's so deceivingly simple, but it's so incredibly powerful. So I have a whole like my whole method begins with the breath. That's step one. Is I teach this specific breath method called the slow leak, and then a really good warm up for your voice that sets everything. It sets everything up. Um, to be able to maximize its potential. We're all walking around with all this crazy potential, and most people aren't tapping into it. So right away with the warm up that I teach, it gives just a lot of life and levity, if I can say levity, to your voice. It gives levity to your voice. So that's like step one, and then I get into. So is this what you mean, like this the process through which?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is really quite fascinating. So even before I go on a podcast, I should be doing
Yeah.
this routine, which I don't. I just get on and go for it. But I love to hear about this because I do know that when I do multiple shows in a day or have multiple client sessions, it's like I've already got tea on the side. You guys just can't see it yet, but it's like ah.
Oh, you get dry horse, kind of. Is
Yeah,
that what you're saying? Yeah.
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Like the stuff that I teach, yeah, it totally addresses, like it totally wipes that out. Because it's about longevity in the voice. And the thing is the when you use it properly, it actually improves. Like so, by the end of your 3 podcasts and 5 clients, and you should now be even feeling better if you're using it right. If you're using your voice right, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
Like it.
absolutely. And
Like
I'd love to hear more because this is quite fascinating. And I know
yeah.
that you said for yourself what had held you back was that you would lose your voice, and that
Mhm.
really prompted you to go into depression so that then you developed this process. So because you solved it, you basically cracked the code yourself so that then you could help others. And I'd love to hear more about, how you put that all together.
Well, it was the training. Like I sought out the finest, I looked for the best of the best and took their courses. Really, like I just amassed all these techniques, and then I just distilled it. I don't just like I just over the process of like 30 years, just over the process of 30 years. It was a long journey. It's been a long journey through amassing the best that I could find training. So people like Per Bristow, people like the Hollywood's finest voice trainer, and his name. Why can't I think of his name at the moment? But like the best of the best, and I distilled it into my method. I put my own spin on things. In fact, one of the techniques is called speech level singing that I learned about, and that's where this one is a mind blower. So it's like if you want to sing a song, it's more like speaking than it is like singing if you want to use your voice like properly. So I do this whole thing around speech level singing. Just sing like you're talking. So like example would be like if you take a song like with a little help from my friends. So instead of singing, you speak the words on the on the notes. So you're still technically singing, but it's more like speaking. So I'll demonstrate. It's like, what? So like, so instead of what would you think if I sang and I'm singing, instead of that, right? Instead of that, it's what would you think if I sang out of tune? Would you stand up and walk out on me? And I'm just talking, and then I move it up. What would you think if I sang out of tune? Would you stand up and walk out on me? But I'm just still speaking. I'm still just talking. And you work through this method, and I've invented that part. Like it's speaking. It's speaking on notes, and then yeah. So that's another step in my method. And then what I did is I flipped that on its head, and now I do, and so we learned about sing level speaking. So you would take, like, let's say your intro
Hmm.
to your podcast, and you would sing it. So, hi everybody, it's Schroeder, and welcome to my podcast. And you make up little melodies, and so by the, it's just ridiculously wacky, but the end result is like just more, again, levity in your voice. You have more lyrical quality and that protective longevity aspect, like this whole idea of like improving your voice the more you use it, rather than the opposite, rather than losing it. It's very powerful.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
very powerful.
it does. And I think it almost sounds like, emotionally you're setting the tone, right? For getting on the air or doing your podcast or getting up in front of a crowd to talk, or even in a small presentation that you might be doing for a client, either in person or virtually, because this would transcend whatever medium or stage you were on.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, it would apply universally, whatever, wherever you're showing up in the world, you would use it um,
Yeah.
beforehand. Exactly. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, so I'm really intrigued, when you're working with clients, and I think you alluded this about, like the confidence, or at least we did at the very top of the show. But what
Yeah.
really holds people back? I mean, in the sense of, recognizing that their voice is a tool in their toolkit, or really leveraging this really incredible asset that each and every one of us have.
Hmm. For sure. Yeah, confidence is the biggest factor, the number one. Like when I talk to people, it's like, what's your issue? What's holding you back? What's the thing? And confidence comes up all the time. Now that can spin off into a few, different reasons why people are lacking confidence. There's a number of variables that lead to lack of confidence, and so the like excuse me. So one of the big ones is that they don't they don't like, how when you hear your voice recorded
Yes.
back, sometimes that can be off-putting because, like, you know what I mean? Most of the time, people are surprised, especially at first. It's like, that's what my voice sounds like? Because we don't hear it the same as what others hear it as.
I
That's just
know. It's like, wait, that's me.
you've experienced that, yeah. That's me, yeah. Like, you don't, and even me, and I've had to, so my message, like, the big, the thing is, yeah, so that's a big deal. There's a few different things people can focus on in regards to that, in bringing confidence, and the number one is you sound fine. You just have to get used to it, like, because you don't sound like you don't sound like you hear it in your head, and to basically just get over it, like, basically just to get over it, right?
Let it go and move on.
Kind of move on, you know what I mean? Exactly. But that's sometimes not enough for people. But I do like to reassure people that, like, you do sound fine. It's just different from what you thought. It's just different from what you thought. You sound fine. Like, yeah, 90% of the time, the person actually sounds fine. It's just different from what they thought, and that's just off-putting. And so just doing it a bunch of times, listening back and going, okay, and you get used to it. Yeah, you get used to it. So other factors, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, no, I was going to say something, but you're ready to go. So let's hear it.
Well, just other factors that lead to lack of confidence, right? Because that is like it is the number one. So then, even if you're over the sound of your voice, it's like knowing it's just not being self assured. You might be afraid, like some people are afraid of like losing their voice when they're up on stage because you get nervous, right? When you're in front of people. So like just that alone, the nervous energy can directly affect your confidence because you're like nervous and you're like worried about this and that, and um, so using the techniques that not just myself but like voice techniques that we teach, using that um, contribute directly to confidence and immediately on a number of levels. So like number one is energy, like just giving yourself like it's incredibly energizing when you do some of the work that, well, I play, I call it voice play. It's not work, it's play. We play with our voice. By doing some of that, right away you just have more energy, so like it can diffuse or destabilize, or whatever the word you want to use for that nervous energy. It can take away and redirect that nervous energy because now you're bringing in new energy, right?
Yeah.
So that you're sort of surpassing the nervous energy. You're like, oh, you're a bit more bubbly, whatever. Yeah. So energy, and then having like, because and so that's sort of an indirect, even though it is direct, like it's an but and then uh, uh, the the really direct way that it helps with confidence is that you actually feel more confident in your voice. You have more. You feel more alive in your voice. You can do more with your voice. Basically, it boils down to trust in your voice. You can trust your voice to do what you want to do with your voice, and that's huge. That's just massive. Like trusting your voice by going like ma 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 a few times, and like doing some breath work and doing some fun. You know what I mean? Oh wow, I have new, like, there's new things that I didn't realize I could do with my voice. I now trust my voice differently. I have a new trust in my voice. That's huge. Like for
Yes.
getting on stages. Yeah. Yeah, big time.
Well, and I would think that going through the training, that it is giving you the confidence and assurance, and then of course getting up there and doing it. Uh, because I will say that there are those moments where when I first started getting up on stage, I was nervous, but I always just let the audience know, well, I'm a little bit nervous. I don't do this every day.
Oh, that's
And so I
terrific.
would just bring them in, and that in
That's
myself, it was like, okay, I'm just being my authentic self.
human.
This is who I am.
Yes.
And everybody would chuckle, and then it was just like they were like, they could feel, many people would feel sympathy. Like someone would be
Yeah.
like, well, I wouldn't be up there if you paid me, or,
Exactly.
whatever it is. And that was a
Yeah.
great way for me to get started. And,
Yeah.
I do tend to be really bubbly. So that part was easy. I think the key thing for me that I would find that I would do is I would talk really fast. I still talk really fast.
You too.
And I would race, and that's one thing is learning, to take that powerful pause, to take the breath, to make sure everybody's caught up with you. It's not a sprint, right?
Absolutely. Yes. And to remind, yeah, like that's a big deal we work on too in the mic drop method, is the pacing, practicing. So I go like, to address that, we do fun things like exaggerating how slowly. So like I'm saying the thing really slowly, and that's a good one because then when you go to speak at a medium pace, it doesn't feel slow, even though it's this what I'm doing right now is slow, but not as slow as that. Like, so it kind of like like it normalizes a comfortable pace that people can keep up with, but it's much slower than my normal pace. when I'm nervous or just normal. You know what I mean? When I'm normally
Yeah.
speaking.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's a great tip. And in fact, it sort of leads us in for anybody out there, including myself. I'd love to hear what your top tips would be, or something that we could do. Let's say you're going to be a guest on a podcast tomorrow, or you're going to be getting up on stage, or you're going to be getting in front of a group of your clients at a presentation. What are some things that they could do that won't take them that long, that could radically improve their performance?
That's a
Or
great
maybe
question.
just
So
improve their
actually,
performance. Maybe not radically, they need to work with you. But
well, yeah, that's I've got so I get asked that all the time, and so what I did is I actually put them together. So I have a three part like a three tip. I call it the 10-minute vocal maximizer. And so in that, and so you're welcome to like distribute that to your guests because it will help them do exactly that. You've got 10 minutes. You're going on stage in 10 minutes. What are you gonna do? And so this is exactly what this will help with. So the number one is actually just arm circles, like getting your upper body
okay.
moving, like energized. So you would do like pretend like front
Yeah.
crawl with you know what I mean, like arm circles. So you do that for a few minutes, and then back crawl with your arms. So like that sets up your upper body to get your breathing and your voice. So that your voice is your okay. Your voice is not just your voice. Your whole body is
Right.
the instrument of your voice. Yeah. So that like right away, you know, really helps. Gets your breathing set up properly, and so arm circles, simple, simple,
Right.
simple, simple, but highly effective. And then number two is the breathing technique I mentioned earlier, that slow leak. I teach people how to do that in there, like step by step. So do you want me to lead you through that right
Yeah.
now?
Yeah. Yeah. I'll be your guinea pig.
Okay, okay, okay. So here's what you do. Here's what you do, and this is in the guide. This is in that's the whole thing because it's like here's something that people can like take away and yeah. So it's in there. So the slow leak is again really deceivingly simple, and all you do, but very 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 powerful. I cannot stress enough how effective this is. It's like so simple, but like oh, it's anyways. Yeah. So you take a breath into your tummy, diaphragmatic breath. Do you know? You let your tummy expand with air. So your tummy is big. You hold it, and then you let it out really slow on like a hissing kettle sound through your teeth.
I do know what you mean. So
Yeah.
I'll try that again.
Yeah, yeah. Let's like try to get so deep breath, and then
It's also
so you're
calming. It's also calming.
also calming. It's also calming. Exactly. Your nerves will start to just relax. Big time. Yeah,
Yes.
that has multiple benefits. Exactly. It's mentally stabilizing. Yeah, it's focusing. It gets your mind
Yes.
focused. Meditation-y. It clears your mind. Right. There's all these not for just the voice benefits, but certainly they all contribute in a
Yeah.
very powerful, positive way for preparing to go on stage. How that affects the voice is again that's the breath support. Like you're training your body to like there's that breath.
Breathe. Yeah.
Okay, now and then you use that breath to propel your voice. Like you use that breath to be the literally the support of you let your voice ride on that. Super powerful. Super powerful. And then the third one is just this funny one where it's just a yawn. So like it's a stretch, like it's basically like if you compare it to athletics, there's no such thing as an athlete who would compete or do anything
Without
without
stretching. Yeah.
stretch. Yeah. So it's a stretch for the back, especially the back of the mouth, to open up back there to allow more air to come through and more sound to come through. So yeah, it's an exaggerated yawn. You're basically making yourself yawn. So you make like a big, and I always put my hand in front of my face to emulate, like physiologically, to get the body to like respond like a yawn. And you take that deep breath, and you make a yawn, and you just go, oh, gliding gently. And you would do that 10 times. Breath, yawn. And again, so deceivingly simple, but what that's doing when I yawn all the way up here and all the way down here, it starts to literally warm up the voice, so I can do things up here. If I want to be emphatic and I want to speak way up there, I can because I did that exercise. And if I want to go to way down here and have confidence and authority, it opens up your whole range in a very quick and effective way.
Yeah.
Super effective.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that. I love that.
Right.
I love
Right.
that. I mean, I do the one in the middle as it is, but the first two, I mean, the bookends. I was missing the bookends, and now I have those.
There you go.
All
There you
right,
go.
that's brilliant. That's brilliant.
Now
And
you're ready to walk into that stage. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. You know.
whatever that stage may be. Well, Schroeder, thank you so much for sharing
Mm.
how to wow your clients and 10x your sales with Transcending Voice. I know that our listeners are going to want to know more about where and how they can find you and find out about you and what you do.
Yeah. Yeah. Pleasure. So, what's the question?
How can people find you?
Funny. Well, LinkedIn is the best way. LinkedIn is the easiest way. My name, search me up on LinkedIn, and we'll connect.
All right.
You know, I mean Facebook as well, but LinkedIn is I'm on both, LinkedIn or Facebook.
Okay, and we'll provide those links right down below so that
Right.
Schroeder is a click away.
Right
And
on.
yeah, absolutely. And this has been such an informative discussion. And for all of you who tuned in, thank you so much. I hope you got out of it as much as I did. I already have this incredible new thing that I'm going to start doing before my shows.
Awesome.
You just
Awesome.
won't see it. And if you have a comment, you can leave it down below. We love hearing your thoughts. And also, if you have a question or would like to suggest a topic for discussion, you can email us at jointheconversation@petitetoqueen.com. And of course, to stay current on all of our insightful advice, our breakthrough advantages, and incredible episodes like the one today with Schroeder, and including his special 3 tips, you can sign up for our weekly wisdoms newsletter at petitetoqueen.com, and you won't miss a thing. So I want to thank everyone who tuned in and has listened. And I want to say, Schroeder, this has been an amazing show. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your sharing so much about how we can really use our voice more effectively.
It's my actual pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. I love sharing this stuff.
All right. All right. Thank you, everyone.